Did I just respawn again? What's going on, Dags? If you're new to the channel, welcome to Dotting and Gaming. I'm your host, Nox, where my favorite thing to do is respawn, and it's not because I'm good. For today's video, I'm going to talk about how I am personally farming those stretch gold caches and what I think the best way to farm the seasonal XP. Spoiler alert for those who don't want to watch the whole video, I have found that farming challenging if you are playing solo for all activities is king, and if you are playing in a group, I recommend you do the open world section where you're going to do the public executions and then run the bounties back to back. And I'll show you later on how I do that. A quick disclaimer before we get into the video, all pros and cons are based on the average and not specifically tailored to any individual skill set and playstyle. This guide is geared to those who want to strictly play on challenging difficulty, and your goal is strictly to farm seasonal XP, not to get loot and not to get the shade levels. And like I said before, this is all based on my own personal experience, just from playing the game and the way that I like to farm. Let's quickly go over this season ranked up stretch goal caches. Shout out to Virtuals for putting together this chart. On the left side are the normal ranked up stretch goals caches. There's going to be a bunch of vanity items. There's going to be rare named items. There's going to be seasonal and special exotics. And then you're going to get those exclusive exotics as well. And for the normal ranked up caches, you can see the drop chances for them and the chances to get those specific items that you're looking for. And then on the right side, there's the prestige ranked up caches, which you unlock as the tier 10 for the stretch goal caches. And inside of the prestige caches, there is a higher chance to get stuff. There's a 100% chance to get the rare named items, and they removed a bunch of the clutter out of the rare named items. That way you have a better chance to get the better stuff. And notably for the exclusive exotics, you're going to have a 2.5% chance to get those now. And to actually unlock the stretch goal caches, you have to complete the first 100 tiers. And once you complete those, and when you gain seasonal XP, it's going to go towards these actual stretch goal caches. For each cache is going to require 1000 seasonal XP, and you're going to gain them indefinitely as long as you keep farming. And these are what they are this season. And here's that prestige ranked up cache right here with the good stuff. And you don't actually have to worry about opening these up as you get them, because once you fill up this page, the next page is going to start. And as you actually claim these, and once you claim the whole page, the next page is going to pop up, and then so on and so forth until you're out of actual caches to claim. And another cool thing that they did this season that's different from the first two seasons is they did a ×2 seasonal XP event where this bonus XP actually counts towards the seasonal caches that we are unlocking, but it's only for the first 100 caches. And then from this menu, you could quickly see what your tier list is. Right now, I'm at tier 218. So I already hit my 100 levels. And the first 100 tiers are like the normal journey caches that you get. And then 101 and up is going to be those ranked up caches. And there is two possible ways to get more seasonal XP. One of them is having a premium season pass, and that's going to give us 10% seasonal XP. And the second way to get another 10% seasonal XP is by actually having your global modifiers turned on. And that's why specifically for me, when I'm looking at something that gives me seasonal XP, I see that 20%. All right, Dags, now let's get into the juicy ways to earn seasonal XP. Alright, guys, I'm going to talk about some of the quick and easy ways you can get seasonal XP depending on stuff that you didn't do. The first one is going to be the manhunt. And you can see when you complete the weekly scout missions, we are going to get the 4800 seasonal XP. So just run through all the ones that you haven't done yet, and you'll be able to gain a bunch of seasonal XP really quick. And the next one is going to be a journey mission. So if you didn't claim them, you could claim them right now, and you're going to get 5280 seasonal XP. And on top of the missions, any of the little section that you haven't done is going to give you 600 seasonal XP as well. So go ahead and just claim the ones you can claim. And there we go. I got the 5200 easy seasonal XP. And finally, it's going to be doing the projects, specifically the weekly projects are going to give you seasonal XP as well. You're going to have this one right here. You have the legendary missions. You're going to have the weekly requisitioning ones. You have the summit. You have the weekly descent run. And then you'll have the weekly PvP. And you could do this on all 4 of your agents as many times as you want. And I actually have a guide how you can loop doing the weekly requisitionings and get the seasonal XP and 3 exotic components in under 5 minutes. So definitely check that out if you want a really quick and easy, efficient way how to farm 2400 seasonal XP. All right, guys, I want to give a quick shout out to Dispatch 6 and the community for helping him put together this chart for priority objectives. These numbers that you see are for heroic difficulty with a 20% boost for having the premium season pass plus having your modifiers turned on. And when you look at the priority objectives, it's going to show you how much seasonal XP you're actually going to get for that priority objective before you even actually decrypt it. And all the stuff that I've marked in red is the stuff that I'm actively avoiding doing just because they take too long to do. Or for like the 103 seasonal XP, those open world activities are going to be like finding 2 elite patrols, which are never really spawn. And I will also actively avoid doing the longer missions as well. And for the strongholds, I try to limit it to doing Roosevelt Island, District Union Arena, and maybe Capitol Building. So make sure you save this chart if you're playing on heroic, but this is going to really save you a lot of time and re-rolls and headaches when you're actually picking which ones to decrypt. All right, next, let's talk about the priority objectives. You can open up your menu, go over here, tab over priority objectives, and the priority objectives and the way that they work and the mechanics is going to be unique to each 4 of your agents, meaning the 3 rerolls you get each day is going to be unique to each agent, and that 1 hour cooldown for aborting a priority objective is going to be unique to each of your 4 agents. So each of the priority objectives is going to have their own value of the seasonal XP that you get from doing it, and the longer that the activity takes, the more of the seasonal XP you're going to get. Right here, the lower the number, the quicker the stronghold is, meaning you have a great chance of it being either the District Union Arena. So my guess in this stronghold is going to be the District Union Arena. So let's see if I'm right. Boom, District Union Arena. And the values that you're going to see is going to be dependent on what your difficulty of your world tier is. Right now mine's on heroic, so let's put it onto challenging, the way that I would recommend farming. Take off the directives because they're useless when it comes to seasonal XP. Alright, and now that our world tier is set to challenging, you can see that the seasonal XP we get for running the District Union Arena on challenging is going to be 606. And that seasonal XP is going to be on top of the seasonal XP you're going to get from just actually running the mission. So you're going to get the 541 running it on challenging. Remember, directives don't matter. And then plus we're going to get the 606. Now let's abandon this. And when you abandon it, it's going to refresh all 3 of them. And here's an open world giving us 134 seasonal XP. So more than likely, this is going to be something like doing 2 propaganda broadcasts, 2 public executions. So let's see what it is. All right, there it is. 2 public executions. Not bad, right? And because I already aborted, I'm not going to be able to abort this one. So let me hop up to a different character. All right, Dags, I am on a new character. And as you can see, my reroll is back. So now let's take a look at the missions and the strongholds. As you can see, this stronghold, 627 seasonal XP, but it is Capitol Building. It is another quick one. Let's abort it. Now let's take a look at the missions. And when it comes to the missions, what you want to do, the same thing with the strongholds. Look for the ones that give you a little bit less on the lower end of the seasonal XP. And those are going to be your missions like the Viewpoint Museum, the Lincoln Memorial, American History Museum, the really quick ones. The ones that are going to be like, around 500, 600 are going to be the ones like the Pentagon missions, the White Oak missions. And that's about it for the priority objectives. So just try to line it up with what you like to do. Alrighty, Dags, now with that out of the way, let's talk about the pros and cons of each farm and some techniques that you can use to get the most out of your farming session. I'm going to compare the fastest stronghold, the District Union Arena, while speed running 10 minutes versus Lincoln Memorial missions on 5-minute speed run versus doing public executions and gathering all those juicy bounties and then running those bounties in the specific regions back to back really fast. And all my numbers are going to be based with the bonus 10% XP that you get from having your modifiers turned on and the additional 10% seasonal XP for having the premium season pass. Then for the pros for doing strongholds and mission is that the priority objectives make it worthwhile. Another pro that when you're playing solo and you matchmake, you might join in the middle of the missions or stronghold or at the end, which will be really nice. Another pro is that it's not as fast paced required as running like the open world activities where you gotta constantly look around the map, jump around and stuff like that. And another pro is that you can pair up missions with weekly projects plus priority objectives to knock out 3 birds with 1 stone for seasonal XP. Now for the cons, it is only worth doing the District Union Arena stronghold and quick missions like the Lincoln Memorial, and it's very unlikely you will get all your priority objectives to always be the desired missions, and the efficiency is going to really be heavily based on RNG. Another con is going to actually depend if you can actually run through those missions fast. If it's going to take you 20 minutes to do a District Union Arena Stronghold, you might want to lower the difficulty or just avoid running it then. And another con is if you are playing in a group, doing the priority objectives with the missions is only going to benefit the session owner, meaning that you and your teammates are all going to get the mission seasonal XP, but the priority objective XP is only going to go to whoever is the session owner. Now let's talk about the pros and cons on the way that I like to farm, which is going to be the open world public executions followed by doing bounties back to back. A really good pro is that you can get solid seasonal XP without priority objectives. It is super quick and easy to do public executions and bounties with a status effect build, a Turmoil one-shot 2-cheek build, or a Pestilent Turmoil build. Pretty much when you're playing on challenging, the key to going through the content fast is going to be any type of build that has area of attack, like the status effects, Plague of the Outcast kind of does this thing bouncing around, and then the Turmoil Kneepads bounces around the damage for you. Another pro, public executions repopulate really quickly, allowing you to stack up bounties for whatever region you are in pretty quick. And you can also get bounties from public executions, projects, rescue operations, and the snitch. And doing bounties gives you really good rewards with the additional of named enemies having a higher drop rate for exotics. So if you're looking for the Chameleon AR, you're probably going to get one, that's for sure. And another pro is that you can do this solo, and you can also do this in a group because the bulk of the seasonal XP will come from the activities. So everybody in your group is going to get the seasonal XP from the public execution and the seasonal XP from the bounties. And another cool thing is if you are playing in a group, when you do a public executions, the bounty will drop for every single person in your party. So if you are in a 4-man group, doing one public execution will net you 4 bounties, and you could run all 4 of those bounties individually. So all you have to really do is do 5 to 10 public executions in a full group, and that's going to net you anywhere from 20 bounties to 40 bounties. That's a lot of bounties you guys can do as a team. Now let's talk about the cons of doing public executions and bounties. It's going to be very build specific if you want to speed run doing this, so you're going to want to have a status effect build or Turmoil Kneepads. And that is another con because a lot of the builds that you want to run for challenging are going to be reliant on having the Turmoil Kneepads. Another con that it is going to be RNG based because the public executions aren't always going to spawn, and sometimes you might get a different activity that spawns in place of the public execution. Another con is that you're going to need to ignore loot for the most efficient farming, as you're going to want to keep the public executions under a minute and doing the bounties under a minute. But don't worry, if you're doing the bounties in the same spot, the loot's going to stay underground for like 30 plus minutes or something like that. Another big con for the most efficient way to farm bounties the way I do, you're going to have your world set up a specific way, and I'll kind of explain that later on. But that won't be at the end of the world if you don't have your world set up like mine, because you can still do the bounties in Downtown West, and you could also do the bounties at the West End even if you don't have your world set up like mine in a really fast spot. Alright, Dex, now that we got the pros and cons out the way, let's get nerdy and talk about the numbers. I'm going to go through this kind of quick, so if you want to see the chart, just pause it and take a screenshot. For this first chart, we're going to talk about the seasonal XP with the 20%. I compared the most common things that you want to do, the control points, public executions, bounties, Lincoln Memorial, District Union Arena, and you're going to see the seasonal XP without the priority objectives that you will get on hard, challenging, and heroic. And you can see that the jump from challenging difficulty to heroic difficulty is literally nothing. It's very small. Now take a quick look at this chart that's going to showcase the armor and the HP pools of enemies depending on what difficulty you are playing with, and if you're playing solo or in a group. And you can see that the armor that the enemies have moving from challenging to heroic is very significant. And if you're playing on heroic, you're not going to be able to run a status effect build efficiently. That's why I'm playing on challenging, because I can literally just run around the map and one-shot full waves with a status effect. If you don't believe me, watch these clips real quick. Very, very true. Let me see if I could dome them all from back here. Damn.
That's some immaculate work right there.
Like, y'all want to do something? You're welcome.
See, I knew you were special when I seen you in DZ. I knew. I know.
Look how fast I got my public X, bruh. I don't even watch. Oh no. Alright. One survived. Look how fast that was, bruh. Now moving on, let's actually compare doing the Lincoln Memorial, District Union Arena, and then running 5 public executions with 5 bounties. And like I said before, this is going to be all RNG on your priority objectives. And keep in mind, when you are doing missions, you're not going to be able to get those missions every single time with the priority objectives. But when you do line up the priority objectives and get Lincoln Memorial, if you could run it on 5 minutes, you're going to get 829 seasonal XP. District Union Arena, if you go run it in 10 minutes, you're going to get 1,147 seasonal XP, but that won't always be the case because you're not going to get those missions every single time, and you might waste a lot of time trying to re-roll, swap characters to re-roll on a different character to get those. Versus if you're just going to do the open world farming solo or in a group, you could do 5 public executions in 5 minutes, and that's going to net you 305 seasonal XP. And those 5 minutes is going to include fast traveling around the map. I'm going to show you the routes that I take later on to minimize the time you waste running around the map. That way you could get into that 1 minute mark for doing public executions, including travel time. Now, when you come to the bounties, you could do bounties in under a minute. So 5 bounties in under 5 minutes is going to net you 1,220 seasonal XP. And when you combine that in a 10-minute run, you can get 1,525 seasonal XP. And yes, if you do Lincoln Memorial twice back to back with a priority objective, you will net more experience, but that's very rare and it's going to be totally RNG. So if you want that to happen, put your hands together and pray to sweet baby RNGesus. So Dags, in conclusion, it's pretty close in the pros and cons for each type of farm, and it will be totally up to you to pick a farm style. All I'm doing is showing you the way that I am farming and what I think is the best way to farm. And I suggest that you experiment for yourself and do what you enjoy to do as well, as that will always net you the most amount of experience. Alrighty, Dags, now that the nerdy stuff is out the way, next let's go over my farming route and strategy. Alright, Dags, I'm going to talk to you about how I have my world set up and where I like to farm and what strategies I employ when I want to do this really fast and get as much of the seasonal XP as fast as possible. First things first, I started as agent at level 1. I did not boost to 30 or 40. I played from level 1 to level 40 the good old-fashioned way. And if you noticed, I did not do any of my side missions anywhere on my map. And because I didn't do the side mission, it's going to be very, very easy for me to do bounties. And that's because the bounties like to go to side missions. And then because I didn't do this side mission, this one, or this one, the bounties in these 2 regions don't really have anywhere to go to. So they will end up going to a random spot. And if you know the spot, you know the spot. It's going to be this location right here in downtown West. So just take a look at this. I'm going to start a bounty right here. And it's going to go to the same exact spot every single time, right there. So cancel that, start another bounty. And again, the same spot, cancel that. And what's really neat about my world, watch what happens when I start a bounty in the West End. And remember, I didn't do any of the side missions. Look where the bounty went. Let's do it again. I didn't do this side mission. I didn't do that side mission, or that side missions. So there's literally no spot for the bounties to go to. So let's start another bounty. Boom, I went to downtown West. There's a similar theme on this whole map with the bounties, but I'm only going to talk about these 2 spots right here for the sake of the video. On a side note, when I was making this video, I did reset my control points to change into difficulty, so just keep that in mind when I explain this upcoming steps. These are the control points you're going to want to take over. It's going to be this one right here, this one right here. And the reason why you want to take over this control point and this control point is because you're going to use them as fast travel location points. That way, whenever there's a public execution right here, you could fast travel to this control point right here, just run over. This public execution is easy to get to. You'll spawn here and just literally turn around and run down the street, and there's going to be a garage door you can run down. This is another spot for the public execution. Spawn at this missions, run down here and cut down the street. For this public execution, you could go to this classified assignment, climb up the ladder and knock it out. For this public execution, you could go to the settlement and just run down. And the reason why you want to take over this control point is you could fast travel here And this spot right here likes to be public execution. So fast travel to this control point and knock them out. For this public execution, is fast travel to this classified assignment right here, run down. For this public execution, you can fast travel to the main gate entrance. Do not fast travel to the checkpoint. Go to the main gate and you're just going to spawn outside of the dark zone. If you go to the checkpoint, you're going to spawn inside of the dark zone. And then for this one, this spot right here likes to be a public execution as well. So just go to this classified assignment and run over here. And this is pretty much what I do. I just kind of go around, knock out my public executions whenever they spawn, knock them out, knock them out, knock them out. And when I have enough and I want to go ahead and farm them, I could do them solo or I could invite friends to make it faster. And if you want to really ramp up how many bounties you get, you could play in a 4-man group, because each time you guys do a public executions, all 4 of you are going to be able to pick up the same bounty, and each one of you can do the same bounty 4 times. So you can do this public execution and this public execution in a 4-man group, then run over here and do a total of 8 bounties back to back. Doing the bounties on heroic, it gives you that 300, and doing the bounties and challengings give you that 244 seasonal XP. And when I'm doing the open world activities, I'm going to always try to do my priority objectives and line it up with the open world. And a couple other spots I like to farm is right here in the White House. I'll go to the DCD headquarters and I'll run and knock out these 3 public executions right here. Then I'll check this spot right here in Southwest. I'll kind of go check out this area right here, fast travel to the mission, turn around, knock this out. Then you could run over here, or you could kind of go to the mission right here or the safe house and run over. I'll fast travel to the DZ main entrance. Then I'll do a 90-degree turn to the right and run straight to the entrance right here, knock this out. And then for the most part, I don't really mess with the public executions with the hyenas. They're just really annoying. But if you don't mind playing the hyenas, you could always check right here at the stronghold, and you can knock out these 2 right here. They're really close to each other. And that's pretty much it, Dax. That's how I like to farm. I do the public executions in the West End, downtown West, and then I just run all the bounties back to back in this spot right here. All right, Dax, let me quickly show you where you want to stand for the bounties in downtown West. You want to be along this wall right here. It doesn't matter where you stand, but just be right along this wall. And the reason being is, I'll show you. When you start the bounty, you can see here's the bounty zone, right? As long as you're not standing inside this bounty zone, the bounty will go here. See, we're standing right here. You could also go across the street and stand over here on a set of stairs, and they just spawn right in front of you. Now, say the bounty didn't go to the right spot, all you have to do is go to details and hit abort bounty, and it's going to cancel it. And you can see it's gone now. And you could just try it again until you get it to the right spot. Alright, if you don't have your world set up like mine, this is going to do the bounty in the West End. We're going to come and stand over here at the bottom of the stairs and then start the bounty. And if it doesn't go to the spot you wanted to, just abort it and try it again. And you can see where we're standing. We are standing right outside of the bounty zone. And this one's really quick and easy. You're just going to run up, kill them, run into the garage, kill them in the garage. You're going to run down a ladder and then kill them in the one room. And as soon as you clear all the enemies, just turn around and come back here and start the next one. Alright, Dags, I hope you guys liked my guide to farming stretch goal caches. And if you have any cool tips or tricks about farming for these stretch goal caches, drop a comment below for the community to see. And of course, if you made it this far, make sure to like the video. And if you're not yet subscribed, make sure to subscribe to help out the channel. Now let's all put our hands together and pray to sweet baby RNGesus. Sweet baby RNGesus, please bless us with the Lexington, Turmoil Kneepads, the Ravenous, the Regulus, the Eagle Bearer, whatever they want, one time.